Hello and welcome to another edition of the Lynn Lowdown, and we have some very special guests with us today, concerned parents. They are here to talk about the petition that they have for healthy food in the Lynn Public Schools. Hello, ladies.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you all for taking the time off while you're on break at work and to come chat with us about this important issue. So, September 30th was the date. Am I correct? September 30th or somewhere around there?
17th, I think.
The 17th.
17th.
Yes.
Sometime in September, some stuff happened. Kids got sick. Food wasn't good. So, tell me when you guys all got wind of all that. When you all got wind of that.
Well, it started with me. I am a parent at Avon Elementary School. I have 3 kids, and one of my child was served a spoiled rotten turkey sandwich, and that was on September 17th on a Friday. When I brought this concern to a person with authority, I felt like my voice was completely dismissed. I was not being heard. So literally within a few hours, we gather a bunch of moms together, and we wrote up a petition. Rosa came by and Nicole as well. Like, everybody was putting all our brains together. And the petition is really literally just about healthy, fresh meals for the kids, because as you know, the 18 elementary school, there's 18 elementary and there's no kitchen at all. So these kids are being served food that's days old. So we're looking for, think outside the box and come with a solution. So, we don't want expired or old food. And, these kids who actually have depend on this meal. This is probably the only meal that they have. We have a lot of food insecurity in Lynn. So this is a really, really serious issue, and that needs to be addressed immediately. And, we have to take some kind of actions, because you know what? I'm not the first one. There's a lot of parents out there. I'm not the second one, or I'm not the third one either. This has been an ongoing issue. As you dig deeper and deeper, we're gonna have to peel layers, one layer at a time. That last Madre stopped the situation, this specific concern brought up to people with authority, to Kevin McHugh, to Kevin Richardson, to our mayor, to our superintendent during that time. And that was happening 2018, 3 years ago. And guess what? It got buried. It's an ongoing issue, and we cannot bury this anymore. Everybody has to be working as a community and come together and come up with a solution. We bring you a problem, it's your job to fix it. And we have demands, we have immediate demands for you, we have a long-term solution, and hopefully, we'll come together and come up with that solution together.
Yeah, now there have been steps taken. When you all found out about this, what did your kids get in? Did your kids get sick from this? Or?
So I can speak. Basically, one of my children goes to Avon as well, and Sophia came to me. We are friends, and we discussed it. And I said, this has been going on longer than even just right now. And I said, during the pandemic, they were offering free boxes of food. So we would receive this food from Revolution Foods, all boxed up. And probably 95% of it was unfortunately thrown into the garbage. A massive amounts of food waste is happening with the food that is given from Revolution Foods. So my children, I would reheat the food. We tried it. My own children would just tell me, Mom, this is not, I can't eat it. And please try it. And so I actually did. And I can vouch that it's not edible. It does not taste like food. A lot of times the cheese was sour, the milk was curdled, even a hot dog, as basic as a hot dog, was just gritty and off and just not right, sogged and stuck to the bread, and just not edible at all, unfortunately. So this has been going on even during the pandemic, where we were getting this boxed food, picking those up. And I actually stopped doing that because I'm not a wasteful person, and it really just hurt me to do that. So I stopped getting the boxed food, but a lot of times parents were getting mold on their cheese, moldy pasta bits and things during that period. And unfortunately, we don't have, at the time, parents didn't really take a lot of pictures of their food. We didn't, but I think it was also during that time frame that happened.
Is one of the biggest issues that you all have is with the vendor?
That's the biggest issue. We believe that the food is coming molded, spoiled from the vendor, and it's just getting missed sometimes by the school staff, and it's getting put on the table. We don't want that food ever to be on that table. We feel like the vendor is the one who is sending this stuff to us. We've got several articles of KIP just last week, Friday, sent out a letter saying that they found moldy food and they went directly to the vendor, and they're taking action quickly. We've got articles of Suffolk University, that was last week. They're going to this vendor with rotten food again. We've got articles, New Jersey, they just fired this vendor for rotten food. So this isn't something that's out of the box. It's not something that we're making up. This vendor has been over and over in court and fired and addressed because of moldy food or spoiled food. So we just want our school committee, Lynn, to take action the way these other schools are on top of it taking action. These are elementary school kids. They don't know better. They're going to eat the food we serve them. And I got involved actually because my child goes to a different school, and he hasn't eaten the food since before the pandemic. He told me how awful it was, that it was old and moldy and stale. So I've been making his lunch, but he came home one day right around September 17th, and he said, "Mom, there was bird poop on my friend's food." And I'm looking at him like, bird poop? And I'm thinking, well, he's elementary. That was mold. And the kid ate it. So it's like, it just, right there, I was like, that's it. I can't, these are babies. They're 6 years old and up. I mean, we have to speak up for them. We have to stop this, like, today.
Rosa, working in the health field, I know there's protocols that you guys take in serving food wherever you work. How disappointing is it to hear stuff like this and not hearing the proper protocols were taken?
For me, being a nurse and me being and working with, I work with an elderly population, and it's the same thing where I work in an adult daycare, so our protocol is when the food comes in, we have to check food temperatures to make sure that the food is at the right temperature. And then we have, we put them in, not a warmer, in the oven to keep that food, to keep it at a right temperature. Because what we find is that when food is not in the right temperature, or let's say that the food is coming frozen and now it's going through the thawing process, you can develop mold between that process, because just because food is frozen and it's being thawed out doesn't mean that you just put it in a warmer and be done with it. No, it needs to be cooked to prevent it from being moldy. You know what I mean? And it's upsetting, to see all these parents in the pictures of the food, because as we all know, nutrition is a very important part of growth and development. Not only growth and development, it helps kids with concentration. Because if you have a child that's in elementary school, middle school, even high school, you know what I mean, and they're not eating appropriately, what do you think that they're thinking of all day? They're thinking of what? I'm hungry, I can't think, and they're not focusing in on the teachers. And then it also goes back to how many kids have been out due to GI symptoms. Is it because they were eating the food? Like she says, if that kid did eat that moldy food, he's gonna wake up sick. Now he's gonna miss 2 days of school. You know what I mean? And what we're trying to do is, we don't want to be we don't want people to feel like we're attacking people, because it's not about the attack. Like they said, we have to advocate for our kids, because our kids cannot do so. You know what I mean? And that's something that needs to be checked. What is Resolution Foods doing to fix the problem? And that's their concern too. If you keep finding different people complaining about the same thing, you have to think, okay, now it's maybe not them, there's something to fix. And we just feel like they keep saying that they're going to fix, and we keep running into the same problem. And when I looked up in their website, you know what I'm saying, what I see pictures of is them putting it in just regular boxes, not ice. And also when we were doing, at my job, when we were doing meals to the patients, we were putting them in isolation bags to keep the food warm, to keep the milk fresh, because also you have to remember with dairy, if that dairy's been out for more than 2 hours, it shouldn't be served, because as you know, milk starts losing its elasticity and it can get moldy just by being out for at a wrong temperature. So what we want to see is improvements. And I feel like if there is food, because food I feel like is a problem, not mostly everywhere, but if we can come together as a community, all of us come to a community and be like, okay, we need to fix this problem, and what are we going to do to fix it? Because like Sophia said, we're not the first group.
Yeah.
You know, there was another group that, you know, had been doing this, and like she said, got shut down, and it's like, we just want our voices to be heard. We don't want to keep hearing, oh, shh, we're going to do it and fix it on the side. No, we want to know what they're going to do to help us improve the food for our children's sake.
Yeah, and I know during last night's school committee forum, Donna Coppola talked about if this vendor is not, they might have to go look into putting out another request for proposal for a new vendor because of this vendor, of the issues with this vendor. That's something that the school committee is looking at. And also, I know Michael Satterwhite yesterday, he went around the schools trying to get in taste of the foods. Were any of you all involved with that, or did you hear feedback from him about his experience?
We did hear feedback, and I saw the pictures, and I thought it was great that he went out and he did do this. Although the food that he got that day was not the same food that my child got that day. He was boasting about, you know, a chicken breast and pizza, and my son got a drumstick with rice. So it wasn't it wasn't the same all throughout the schools. So every school seems to be different. You catch a good day. I'm not saying every single meal that Revolution gives us is a bad meal. But there are bad meals, and there should be none. So that was the problem.
Talking about the Michael and his thing, we saw two different types of pizzas. That what the elementary kids were served, and what was it, middle school?
It was middle school, yeah.
Middle school was the thing, and I mean, it was completely different. You know, my vision of pizza is warm sauce, melted cheese on, you know what I mean? But yeah, I get it. The kids love to make their own pizza. It's kind of like a Lunchable, whatever. But if you see the difference in the food, which one would you eat? You would eat this one and leave this one, because my son is obsessed with pizza. Yeah. He'll eat any type of pizza, but he won't eat that one. Why?
Mine won't either.
Why? Because it's cold.
Right.
Pizza is a food that's supposed to be hot.
Right, and I think this comes down to, again, like, so the middle schools have kitchens, the high schools have kitchens. So they're able to have a dough, have some warm, sauce and some mozzarella cheese that might get melty and all that. But the elementary schools are not given that. They have the pre-made, pre-packaged foods. The pizza kit is actually one of their, from what I understand, one of the more popular items that the kids actually enjoy. But going back to the whole, Michael Satterwhite going to the schools, we actually reached out to the school committee members, the superintendent, the mayor, even all the powers that be, to please go sit down at the elementary schools, go sit, have the actual meal that the children are served that day, so that they can get a really good grasp of what is served. We're having a presentation on 11/3. Revolution Foods is coming because of this concern to do a presentation. One is supposed to be about the nutritional guidelines that the USDA has given and we have to follow, which most of parents understand all of that. And the other is they're going to actually be presenting some food. So we wanted the people who make decisions for our city to actually get a really good idea and go out and sit and have a real lunch instead of a presentation.
Yeah, the other issue with this was about, if everyone watched the school committee forum last night, this was also an issue that was brought up, is the elementary schools have no kitchen, and these buildings are old. So that brings another issue for that aspect. Go ahead, Sophia.
So if they don't have kitchens, right, what is another alternative that we can do for them not to, you know what I mean? And I don't remember who brought this up, but someone says that, maybe it was Nicole, she said we should be using Lynn, because if Resolution's all the way in Woburn, why are we not using our own community to help rate? It's a win-win for everyone if you think about it. And then the restaurant, I don't know how it would work, because like I said, the kitchen is the problem, but there has to be another way. Like, okay, there has to be a way that we can bring the food, have it be good, and remain at a temperature until it's served. You understand? And then it goes back to how is resolution food? How is the process? Okay, is the food frozen when you start packing it in, like, you know what I mean, and bringing it to us? According to the website, it's not frozen, but I believe that sometimes it does come frozen. Right?
Absolutely. I mean, I am a luncheon.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
So that I can come in here, you know. So when we attend the school committee meeting, which has been twice, we're going to be going on Thursday. It's going to be another school committee meeting. But both times, superintendent as well as Kevin McHugh mentioned that food is served fresh the next day. Let me tell you this. Food is not served fresh the next day. So if kids are eating food on Monday, actually that food was made at Revolution, wherever that is, will be delivered to Aborn. I'm picking Aborn because that's where I work, on Friday. Now, if that's supposed to be pizza and it's frozen, you know what that means? We don't have freezer. It's going to be put in the environment where it's refrigerator. And sitting right there, we're talking about 5 days, 4 nights, that food has been sitting and thawing, and then will be cooked on Monday. So there's a lot of possibility that mold will grow. So, to answer your questions, why the 18 elementary school does not have they don't have any kitchen. One of the solutions, like I said, like Rosa said, that we can utilize like Lynn Tech. They have culinary school, so the kids can be doing that. On top of this this is like a long-term goal, like maybe 4 or even 5 community kitchens. We can actually, like commercial kitchens, so that we can be used for school meal production and sublet after hours to local entrepreneurs, because there's new entrepreneurs who just started, they don't have kitchen, so we can lease that out. So now we're creating jobs. It's like we're killing 2 birds with one stone.
Is this going to be part of the presentation that you'll be presenting to the school committee, which you're talking about, or have you already made these suggestions to them before?
Discussion, the idea of how do we get fresh food to the children, and the idea of the kitchens has been brought up. Other ideas were brought up, like, okay, maybe we can use our middle school kitchens. They're used that day for those children that are in those schools. So it was brought up, like, oh well, maybe they can use them after that and then deliver the meals. So lots of ideas are formed. I mean, we're just moms. We're people just kind of in the community. They're saying this isn't right. We're not here to say, like, this is 1, 2, 3. This is how you should absolutely do it. We're coming to you. We're saying there's a problem. Let's get all the good minds together and let's fix it.
And please, once again, tell us the November 3rd. That'll be next Wednesday
At 5 o'clock.
At 5 o'clock. At Breed, is it? At Breed.
So the Breed cafeteria.
Well, is this is open to the public?
Yes.
Open to the public, and the more people we have there, the bigger our voice is. So what we really need is for people to show up and show our city that we need to get rid of this vendor now.
And also the petition. Also, sorry to cut you off. The petition that you all have is on your Facebook page, is correct? The petition. We have the petition here. I can't see it, but they have the petition. If for those parents that want to see it, they could go to the Facebook page, correct?
Yes, we have the paper petition. We have literally in my hands about 500 signature here. It's already on here, and the online we have over 500 signatures already. Yes, you can find us right on Facebook. But to go back to what our mission is all about, is really what we want is meals prepared and served same day, because our kids deserve that freshness. So like our immediate action, and all my ladies agree with us, we need a new vendor. We don't want spoiled food. We don't want moldy food, rotten food, and any inedible food, because our kids deserve better. And the second thing that we want is that immediate action is quality assurance. We need to know, like, this is go right into the Lynn Public School, right into the vendor, whether that new vendor we can be hiring. We need to know the delivery, the temperature, the storage protocol for all the school lunches. We need to know the frequency, the dates, the nutrition, and access for the parents, so that it's ultimately it's about the kids. It's not about us being happy. If they're happy, we're happy. So we have to speak together as a community. We come together. It doesn't matter who you are. but we have kids in the system, so we have to watch out for them and voice for them too. So we're asking for transparency. If there's investigation, I want internal audit, external audit on LPS, internal audit and external audit on the vendor. You know, like all that stuff, and got to be transparent. You know, if this vendor is so horrible, which being sued, and like DC fire them, you know, New Jersey, and I'm sure there's more, you know, there's a lot of lawsuit involved with this vendor. Here's the real question. Why are we still keeping them? What is the conflict of interest? What is the conflict of interest? What is in it? You know, millions and millions of dollars, according to Donna, I watched her last night, millions and millions of dollars has been spent on our kids' food. This is federal funding, and these kids deserve better. We are not the bottom tier. Just because our zip code is 01902 or whatever that is, does not mean that our kids deserve the bottom. They're not bottom feeders, okay? You know, my friends who live in Wilmington get free lunches. Their lunch, you know what their kids said? They said, Mom, the school lunches taste better than your cooking. That says something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That says something right there. Our kids need to be treated equally. Food inequality is unacceptable.
Yep,
Our
definitely.
kids need equality.
Yeah, I mean, we could have a whole nother conversation about school lunches and school lunch debt. And I know Michelle Obama did something with the a few years ago with getting more healthy options in school. Ladies, we coming to an end. We could go on and on for another 20 minutes, but please, once again, let them know the Facebook page, and also if they want any information, if they want to contact you, if any concerned parents want to contact you, please let them know how they can do that.
Absolutely. Would you like to give the name? Yes. Have any concerns or any food issues or anything like that, CCS, email to Kevin Richardson. CCS, we actually have an email address. It's Lynn, Lynn, parents, mission, food, correct?
Food mission.
Food mission, I'm sorry.
Don't worry,
Lynn
they see it on the screen.
Lynn Parents Food Mission at gmail.com, please. Thank you so much.
No problem. And remember, once again, next Wednesday, November 3rd at 5 o'clock at Breed, correct?
Yes, correct.
At Breed. All are welcome. There will be a presentation. Parents, concerned parents, you should all show up to that from 5 to 7 p.m. next Wednesday, November 3rd. I want to thank you ladies for coming on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You all have been watching the Lynn Lowdown. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
No.